Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to humanize content made by AI. But before we start, I have to be clear here that this video is not about what AI humanizer tool you should be using. I have explained that on my previous video that AI humanizer tool doesn't work because the underlying technology, which is AI detection tool, doesn't work either. Google says it doesn't care whether the content made by human or AI. Also, OpenAI shuts down its AI detection tool because it is very unreliable and there is no tool today can tell human and AI content apart. So you should never humanize AI content for the sake of not being detected by AI detection tools because they didn't work either. Instead, this video is more about how to put human in humanizing. Just to give you an idea, this is a regular article that is usually produced by AI, and this is the same article but look way better and more human by using my humanizing technique. Also, this process should only take about 10 minutes to finish, which will make your content from boring to really good. And perhaps the best way to describe that is actually not to humanize AI content, but to make the article or the content much more presentable. At the end of the day, this content is made for human, and therefore you should always put in your visitor experience when it comes to creating content. So let's get into it. Okay, for the first method, this is something that pretty common, and in fact, if you ever chat to AI and ask them how to make my AI article to look more human, they usually will give this same response every single time. And that response is you have to add your opinion or your experience or your view about the topic, which makes sense, but it's not something that most people would do. When you got an article that is created by AI, it's kind of difficult to add your view or to integrate your experience into that article. I mean, just look at this article. How do you actually put your experience into the existing paragraph? Maybe you want to put it here, or maybe here, or maybe here. It's so difficult to pinpoint because you are not the one that is creating the article from scratch. So you run the risk of destroying the flow of the article. Unless if you put your experience right in the prompt, that's usually a lot easier. By the way, on the next video, I think I'm going to explain more about how to craft a good prompt for an article. But for now, let's focus on humanizing. So it is true that you should always add your own piece in the article. But in case you don't know how to put that, I think there is one website that is so good when it comes to adding opinion of the editor into the article. And I'm talking about electric.co. This website is covering topics about electric vehicles like cars, e-bike, and they usually will add their own opinion about the matter at the end of the article. This is very important because instead of thinking about how I should put my piece into the article, you could just add a subheading and then you can write your opinion or your view about the topic right there. Furthermore, this not only makes your article more human, but it will make your article a lot more trustworthy. And you can tell that by the amount of comments that they got on every single one of their article. Ultimately, you should always add your comment or opinion in that article. It could be at the very end, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, for the second method is something that you should have been doing even before AI. And this piece will not only make your article a lot more human, but also a lot more enjoyable, and it will boost your SEO score. In addition to that, AI is still struggling to create this element into an article. And that element is an image or video. Even though there are many AIs that have multimodal, which allows them to create content, not just text, but also images and even videos, they usually can only generate some sort of illustration or stock image or people's face, but they cannot create everything. There are some limitations. They cannot draw hands, at least at the moment. They are really bad at putting text into the image. Furthermore, I have found that some AI writer tools are offering a feature to instantly add an image right into the article. So when you create a piece of content, the AI will try to find relevant text around it and then put an image. But there is a problem. They can only generate an image, AI image generator, and also they can only get an image from some stock image website, which is fine, but it's not going to make your article unique. For example, if you're making a piece of content about Photoshop or Adobe Premiere tutorial, you should make a screenshot, and screenshot cannot be created by AI. That's going to give you an edge over AI. and there are so many visual content that needs to be created by human because AI technology today just cannot create that. And I think this will make your article a lot more authentic, and your reader will believe that there is a human making this article, or at least supervise the content creation process. By the way, if you are making an article with tons of screenshots, there is a simple trick that allows you to quickly upload a screenshot in WordPress in the Gutenberg editor. I already covered that on my previous video about Gutenberg hidden tips and tricks. Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness is very important in SEO. But there is a problem in AI, which is hallucination. AI will make up stuff that didn't exist. And even though there are some AI that can browse the internet to double check the information, I have found that a lot of them still made the same mistake. They still hallucinate a lot. This is even worse when it comes to links. If you ask the AI to add resources or links to some statements, they usually will better that links. That is why this is the area that you should always supervise, especially for the type of content that is very sensitive like financial, health, legal, etc. So you must double check the content made by AI. Even with the best prompt, AI still hallucinate, and it is your job to make sure your content is as accurate as possible. And not to mention, you can always add some hyperlinks to internal or external websites, which will make the content more SEO friendly. For the next method, this is completely optional, but in my opinion, this will be the game changer for your article. This will make your article really stand out, and perhaps people will spend a lot more time on your page. This is related to the scanning behavior. So people on the internet do not read the entire article. They usually just scan the whole page and they will stop if there is something pop out. You can exploit this behavior by making your content a lot more presentable. Basically, your article should be visually pleasing. Instead of a boring paragraph to show a statement, you could use a dedicated quote block in WordPress. Instead of adding an image and then text, you could put image and text side by side. If the paragraph is too long, you can split it and add a background color to make it look more attractive. And if you feel like this is a bit too much for creating an article, I agree with you, because this is actually fall in the realm of designing a page. But there are many decorations that can be achieved in WordPress with just a few seconds of work. Even better, WordPress has something called patterns that allows you to save a pattern or a design and then reuse it later on future content. This will save you a lot of time and work when designing an article. But don't forget to add one more element to your article. This element has been overlooked for years, but it's getting more and more important, especially in the age of AI. So check out this video to learn more about what element you should create and how it will make your content rank higher on Google. And I'll see you on that video.